Bossy Talk Shows, Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. So with me today, I'm with Carol Ann Cooper. How are you, Carol Ann?
Good, thanks. Yes. And how about yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. We're here today. There was no talk show yesterday.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were busy, weren't you?
yeah, I was busy. I don't think the hotel internet can do the streaming.
Oh,
So that's why I couldn't really, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do anything.
mhm.
Yeah, normally I don't do
Yeah,
streaming. I normally ask you guys, but I thought I went to Tara and then I asked for help. Let me just leave it for now. They can cope one day without
one
Cosmo.
day. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Or we can just, and I was like, I can do the pre-recording. I was like, that's lying to the audience and thinking that I'm live while I'm not. I was like, I'm not gonna bother.
Okay.
So so that's why it's like, okay, let me just
Mm-hmm.
relax. So I spent time relaxing at the hotel
Mm-hmm.
and doing nothing.
Needed
Yesterday,
it. Yeah. Yeah. I
I
think you
was
needed
just
it.
I was just replying to emails and that was it.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good
Uh,
refresh, eh?
yeah, it was really good because I think sometimes we believe that we need to be doing something
Mm.
every second and every minute.
Yeah.
Because,
Exhausting.
yeah, got to be planning every minute. I think that's me.
Yeah. It's not necessary. And giving yourself that time to just chill is the best
Yeah,
gift ever. Yeah.
yeah. So let's get into the topic.
Okay.
The topic is spring cleaning for the soul, renewing relationships and personal growth. Spring
Mm.
is a season of renewal, spring cleaning. When we talk about spring cleaning, it's a season of renewal where nature awakens with fresh energy, new beginnings. Just as we clear out the clutter in our lives, in our souls, or it could be in our homes, that offers perfect opportunity to cleanse our emotional relationship spaces and our soul as well. Carol Ann, you chose this topic. What was on your mind when you chose this topic?
It's spring. I've been seeing spring flowers coming up. The other week, last few weeks there's been snowdrops, and then the other day there was the snowdrops and the crocuses had gone over, and there's the daffodils that are springing up. So they're sort of the next flowers. And I just thought it's starting to feel like spring, and I just thought, okay, so what about our relationships? We spring clean the house. Maybe there's something around, do we ever spring clean our relationships? Um, so I thought, yeah, let's go for it. Because we're very good at clearing that physical clutter, but sometimes we tend to put off taking time to actually declutter ourselves emotionally and actually reevaluate our relationships or connections. So maybe this is a great time to actually do that. So that's where that came from. So yeah, it's as you say, spring cleaning for the soul. Um, it's about sort of refreshing your relationships because maybe sometimes they got a bit stale, a bit stagnant. So refresh them and also your personal growth. Have you sort of been doing the same thing? Has that got a little bit stagnant in some way? How can you refresh that? So again, it's just taking that time to reassess it and clear out what's no longer needed, what's got a bit dusty, dust it off, look at it, you know. Yeah. So it's yeah, looking at it from different angles, what emotional clutter can we let go of? What relationships, how can we, reassess that and our emotional relationships, our friendships, um, personal, actually with a partner. So
I love
yeah.
that. I like that when you say we spring clean other things, but we never really take time to actually evaluate reflect on our emotional state. And I think it's really, really important to, like what you're saying, Carol, and to really take a look at our relationship with our spouse and even family members as well, or with our colleagues, and really have that quiet time to assess how we are feeling emotionally, and journaling things as well. It helps with stress, frustration, or maybe if there are unresolved conflicts, it does help. And also, it also helps to identify the patterns that are triggering those emotions that may be holding us back as well. I think that's really, really important. But for me, I'm on that one because going through my cleansing and fasting is those are the things that I look at. My heart, where my
Okay.
heart is. If my heart is hardened,
Mm-hmm.
or my thoughts emotionally, it is something that I have to go deep every single day to evaluate how I'm communicating with people. It's kind of funny, but uh it's really sad because you get to realize that people are actually broken emotionally, um and they don't realize it because there are things that people take for granted, or sometimes they take each other for granted. And when you're going through, like doing what I'm doing, is the things that I go deep and really um looking at it and just checking my heart as well. What is my heart hardened, or is my heart chained, or what are my thoughts? Why am I thinking those kind of thoughts? And just cleansing so I can have good thoughts about people, and the good thoughts about my life and my success and everything. But it's not an easy thing to do.
It's not an easy thing, no, but
No.
it's an important thing to do. So it's
Yeah, it's very
that
important.
emotional clutter that's there. And, I love what you said about, where's your heart hardened? Um, that's a great one to look at because it's like recognizing what it feels like, what's hardened about it, and what has caused that hardening. Because the hardening of the heart is very, ooh, painful, I would think. When
Yeah.
you think about those words, that hardening. So again, yes, what is it that's hardened it? What perhaps are you what emotional baggage are you still holding on to? What sort of resentments and guilts or regrets are there? Because that's what could perhaps be hardening the heart. So looking at, well, what is it? And then being able to let them go. So anything emotional like that, there is emotional freedom technique that you can use called tapping. So again, if you can recognize that hardening of the heart, even just that phrase itself, you could tap on that and just tapping on the top of the head, hardening of the heart, tapping here on the collarbone, hardening of the heart. But there are other points you can look at as well, but also what other words are there? So again, using those words that you're saying that you found, maybe there's some regrets, things that you're still holding on to that you regret, that maybe to do with a past relationship, to do with family. It's like, is it still serving you? And this is where, when you're clearing out physical clutter, it's like you look at it and say, is this still serving me? Do I need it? Have I used this coat in the last year or 2 years? If the answer is no, get rid of it. So again, it's the same with the emotional baggage. Look at it. Does this regret serve me? How is it helping me move forward? Is it, you know, that regret, those people that it's around, are they still around anymore? So what can you do to actually relieve yourself of that regret? So as I said, one thing is tapping. just say the word this regret. And if you know what the regret is about, be even more specific. But yeah, so certainly releasing that, that's a great start. I would question what you say about most people are broken emotionally. I'm not sure that's a word I would use, or because I wouldn't say we're broken. There's nothing to fix.
I think it is
There's
the soul. Most of the people around me, I've realized, because what I've realized, I'm going to speak the truth and not to comfort people. I've realized that Lucifer was trying to do that to me.
mm-hmm,
But I was wondering, what is he gaining out of it? But then I didn't realize actually he's wounding people's souls. So once your soul, because your soul and your spirit are the most important thing that carries your body.
mm-hmm,
Once that is broke is wounded or is sick inside,
mm-hmm,
then the body is no longer okay. So
yeah,
the thoughts that comes out comes like that comes out. They are no longer good thoughts. Some of them are evil thoughts where it's all about me, 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 me. So
mm-hmm,
I was wondering why, what is he gaining out of it? But then I had to find out today, like Pastor James was talking about it today. He's doing repentance, but he was talking about it today, why people behave the way. And I was like, is actually destroying people. uh I'm not gonna lie and say is because I wondered, like when I left home, like in Africa, people were so nice and stuff. Like, but when I was talking to my auntie, and she said, I was like, "Are you talking about the same people that I know that I grow up with my family?" Because it seemed
mm-hmm,
to me you're talking about different people. But then I was like, what is he gaining out of it by changing people's character and their souls? And I've also noticed there are people that I help them, and some of them, instead of saying thank you, they come back like kick off, and there's no gratitude in it. But then I was like, what is he gaining? What is going on? But today, that's when I got my answers. That actually is wounding people.
and that's a different word to being actually broken.
Is
And I prefer
wounded.
that.
Yeah,
It's
wounded.
wounded.
Yeah, is
There's a
wounding people.
sickness, there's an illness there,
Yeah,
and it's that heartache, that heartbreak,
yeah,
the hardening of the heart. But there's that what he's doing is sort of breaking them down emotionally,
yeah. Because you
so
can
that there's
see.
no resilience, there's no break
No,
back, and actually it's feeding his energy of
yeah,
lack, of not feeling good enough, and all of that is what his energy is about, isn't it?
yeah.
So
So
it's when you
like,
can find that, recognize that, and bounce back again.
yeah,
It's just clearing that out, because it's recognizing that there is something inside of you that is allowing him to actually connect with you and pull you down. And so there's your clutter, that's your emotional clutter, your baggage that you can actually address, go inside and say, right, what is it that I'm still holding on to? Because if you're still holding on to regret, onto grief, then that's his way in, because he'll feed it. And then, so it is about working with that and clearing that and finding that bounce back ability, that resilience to bounce back into a happier, more joyful way of being, and allowing that wound to heal. So it's about healing those wounds. So yeah, it is, again, it's that recognizing it, what it is. So it's a great question, and what he's actually getting from it, he's just getting more souls in his community, so to speak.
because I was like, what's that heck? Why is he doing this? Why does he want me to join in this club of insanity? Because to me, I see it as a club of insanity.
Reality.
What? So
Yeah.
I could not understand. I had questions and questions. I could not
Mm-hmm.
understand it, but I kept praying about it. But I think because when I keep praying about it, God uses somebody to actually explain that. So he was
Mm.
explaining it in details. So I was like, so that's what it's all about. And is actually
Ah.
destroying people without them knowing. It's like these people, they will be like, think they are better than you, or they think they're
Mhm.
doing the right thing, but they actually is trapping their souls. And then after that, they start having actually problems. So I was like, I couldn't understand it. I was like, what is this about? So when you put the
Mm.
topic, and I was like, has Carol Ann and Pastor James been communicating with each other?
Yeah, somewhere out there in the ether.
So it was
Yeah,
like,
soul
has God
connection.
been communicating with Carol Ann and what's going on here? Yeah, honestly, yeah, Carol Ann is like,
Mm.
yeah,
Interesting that, yeah, that came up because and it's the only way that you can actually help these people is by looking to yourself and clearing yourself and actually being that leading light and moving, allowing, empowering yourself to move into the light, to become more positive, to
yeah,
become much more energized and have the it's about being grateful. So it's having gratitude for that experience. Thank you for showing me this. Thank you for attempting to um, pull me into your club, so to speak. I see the truth. And thank you for the learning and being in that state of gratitude, being able to
yeah,
see the silver lining that was there, even though it may have felt a bit uncomfortable in the beginning, but to be able to see that silver lining and have gratitude, get the lesson, be grateful. That is what allows you to just move away.
yeah.
It's like there's a distance energetically just happens without, you actually having to force it away and say, no, 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 because the more you go like this physically, the more it attracts because you're in that lower vibrational energy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's getting yourself into that higher vibrational energy and also having self-compassion, being compassionate for yourself, not beat yourself up thinking, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be pulled into all of this, um, this
oh
stuff
no,
that's,
you have to have compassion, Carol Ann, and no, I shouldn't. It's like you have to have an attitude, like what you're saying,
Mhm.
of sending good energy to people because they don't know what's
Yeah,
going on. Just pray for them.
that's right. But the more you can move away from it, it gives them permission
Yeah,
to follow.
yeah.
It's like the energy choose and it's up to them whether they choose to or not, because this is something else that actually it's really hard for a lot of people to actually do the spring clean emotionally and look at what's going on for them, and doing some personal growth. That's really hard. What is it that makes it hard for them, I wonder?
When the soul when the soul is not in the right place, it gets split. Apparently, gets split into different places. So now
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer going into the direction where it's meant to go. It's going to a different direction. So when he was explaining, because he did, like for me, for helping me, I kept praying and I kept praying, wanting to understand it. But then he came as an angel. The angel came to me in my dream. And
Mm-hmm.
now he was like taking me to different places when I was a child. So he would come in and say, this is where you need to pick you up, but you need to go quiet. So I'll go and pick my soul up. And then it would say, and then it would take me to a different place and it would say,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's where I was wounded, where I trapped me
Mm-hmm.
there. So then it would take me to a different place and say, you need to pick yourself up. But when I'm picking myself, I'm a child. So I'll pick myself up, I'll pick myself up. And then there were times where we arrived in this place where I picked myself up because the angel of God does not make friends.
Mm-hmm.
He does the work. So he wanted to show me that I'm not here as a friend, I'm here to do the work.
Right.
I'm an angel of God. So the
Yeah.
last bit where I'm picking, then he tells me, go and pick yourself up. I go and pick myself up, and then I get caught. Then I look around. He's gone. He's no longer there. And then when he's gone, now someone else appears. Now it says, pick yourself up and leave now. We are at war. So I'm like, at war with who? And it was like, we are at war. So I'm like, the souls are at war. So, and then he says, get out now, pick yourself. And then he puts a Hamlet in me on my head.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, I ain't staying here. I'm running. So instead of riding and riding. So today when he was explaining, I was like, so that's what it's all about. But it's not an easy journey to do. You got to dedicate, like what we do with personal development is the same thing. When you're cleansing your soul, you have to dedicate it to wanting to change, not negotiating for staying in one place, just wanting to change.
Just one thing to
Better.
change.
Wanting to grow. You have to
Oh,
want to grow.
wanting. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
I heard it as
wanting
one
to
thing.
grow.
Wanting, yeah, that,
Yeah, even when things get tough, you
yeah,
can't change your direction and say, "Oh, I'm gonna do it later." You gotta do it. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not an easy thing. You're cleansing your soul.
no. And it is that tapping into that wanting that there's something deeper inside that drives you. And even though there are times when you perhaps feel, oh, I just don't know if I can do this anymore, and other thoughts start creeping in that go, oh, is it worth it? Or I'm running out of time, age isn't on my side anymore. Those sort of thoughts. It's like, even if I can sort of shift it around and go, well, even at 1 or 2 years of actually achieving that goal would be great, it's done. There's that excitement. Does it have to be the whole of my life that I've achieved it? I think it's the journey along the way. And so is that not giving up and recognizing what physically is happening in the body. Because I found a few weeks ago in yoga, we were getting into a particular pose. It was called butterfly pose, where the legs were out at the side and on our front. And I managed actually this time to get into the pose, but I was very aware of there was certain muscles deep inside that were not letting go. And I was sort of breathing into them and going, let go, let go. And it was like, no, no, no. I could really feel it right inside. And I just thought, okay, there's something here that won't let go. And so I actually worked in that and said, well, okay, so where does that sort of relate to? What is it that I'm not willing to open up and let in? And what am I not willing to let go of? But I recognized I needed to work on my physical body first to be able to now open up. So I actually went and saw an educational kinesiologist last Thursday, and there's a particular process called, it's a Hyperton X balance, and that's about releasing trauma in the body. And it's a very deep process. And my body has said, it kept saying, I want that, wants that. So eventually I booked the appointment, I had the appointment, and released a lot of things. And I found that now my left knee is not hurting as much as it was. I've got much more freedom with that. And actually I was able to get into that butterfly pose on Friday. And I felt I was able to get into it and relax into it much more deeply. That tension wasn't there. My whole body feels straighter. I feel much more, I've got more twist and turn with my hips, and it's like, okay, now I can perhaps maneuver myself into different positions that I wasn't able to. And so now I can actually start working on my mindset and my thoughts. And I'm becoming aware of thoughts that, because I was at a meeting on Monday, a personal development group meeting, and we were asking, one of the questions was looking at our thoughts and what we're focusing on, what's challenging, and to sort of look at that through the week. And I started really recognizing and now writing down the thoughts that are there that are holding me back, that I've sort of been aware of before, but now I'm really aware of, is that they're much more aware. And I'm thinking, right, I'm now writing them down and going, it's time to change this. You know, they're very, very deep. I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to achieve this. It's like, that's been there all along. So that's something that I can now reframe and let go of, because I worked on the physical body, which allows for that awareness to be much more strongly. You know, I can actually hear those words now. So again, yeah, it's putting yourself in positions where you can really become aware of what is holding you back and then do something about it. It's, you know, having awareness is half the battle. Then actually doing something about it is something else. So certainly, you know, listen, feel, become aware of what those words that are there. What are you saying to yourself? And change them. Yeah.
I like that, Carol, and what you're saying, that you're working on your thoughts and really going deep and looking at the things that are holding you back. It gives me joy to hear someone doing those kind of things,
Mm.
because that is really, really important to actually evaluating your thoughts and just looking at things that are holding you back and admitting them and just breaking those chains. Um, People, like when I create my videos or when I wear
Mm-hmm.
my chains, they don't understand. Those the kind of things can chain you and
Yeah.
not moving forward. And it's really nice to hear someone who thinks like me,
Yes.
that I am evaluating things that are holding me back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
I'm
I,
releasing those chains because I love that thought, you know, thoughts that thoughts can chain you. And I got
yeah,
that picture in my mind of you with those chains, you know, that you used to
yeah.
have. Yeah.
It's really important to really, because sometimes we can hold ourselves back, like what you're saying, that
Mm.
when you say I can't do this, I don't think I can achieve this. For me, I've realized that on my own, I may not be able to, I may not achieve things that I want to achieve, but with God,
Mm.
everything is possible. So all I do is I say, Daddy, you know what? Just help me. Because there are things that strength that we may think that we can't do this, we can't do that, but we actually can
Mm.
if we only believe. So this is where God comes in for me, and I'll be like, please help me. And it's really, really important. Like, how many people out there who are in our shoes where we recognize things that are holding us back and being able to admit it?
Yeah. It's actually being able to admit it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because once you admit it, then you got to do something about it. If you don't admit it, if you just keep pushing it back, and it's like, no, 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 it's not real. But it's but something will happen that will make you, it will force you to face up to it. And it'll be something that'd be most uncomfortable. And then you'll probably find yourself going, oh, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's because you're not listening. You're not taking the away, you're not doing something about what you've become aware of. You know, absolutely. And so, you know, very often in relationships, we hold on to resentment and there's
Yeah.
often unspoken sort of frustrations. So it's like, what are perhaps some of the practical steps people can clean or take to clean out that emotional baggage and move forward? You know, what could they be? What could they do?
For me, I would say is dealing with your mind, your thoughts, and
Mhm.
self-acceptance, self-love, and really being able to admit to yourself and say, like myself, I've learned to surrender to God and say, I can't do this when it comes to relationship. I feel holding any thoughts or holding someone in my heart is a sickness. That's how I can translate it now. I don't want in my heart holding anybody. I don't want my heart holding any conflict. If there's anything that I don't like
Mm.
or I don't understand, instead of leaving it unspoken, talk about it.
Oh.
If your spouse want to listen to you, they will want to listen to you. But if you are dating someone who don't want to talk about things, then this is where you have to go to God and say, am I in the right relationship? Because it's really, really important to have. I don't know if I can describe it, Carol, and how I used to feel it before. My body was heavy. My heart had a heavy burden in me.
Mm.
But
Mm.
now I'm not carrying anything. And I don't want to go to that place. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I know there is a heaviness, isn't there? And then when that can lift, there's joy and there's a spring in your step. And I think this is where the spring cleaning of the soul, it brings that spring back into your step, because it's like something you can bounce around more, where otherwise you're just asleep. You're everything, life just becomes really heavy.
Yep.
So something else that, yes, praying and asking for God to support you in that is a great way of clearing those resentments and unspoken frustrations. But something else they could do as a couple, or if it's even with a friend or whoever it's with, is actually perhaps have a 10-minute daily check-in. You actually have that as part of your routine as a couple. We set aside 10 minutes to actually check in with each other. And I mean, really listen what is going on, what's there for them. And they sort of have set aside, no, make sure there's no distractions. So by checking in, and if you don't want to make it a daily check-in, make it a weekly one, but at least at certain intervals, you check in with each other and say what is going on, so you can really clear the air, so that actually by doing it regularly, it doesn't build up to something that's so huge and momentous that you just can't shift, or becomes to a point where you're just so angry with each other that you just can't talk. So create that regular checking in with each other, just a 10 minutes, daily, would be a great way. And where you decide to do that 10 minutes is up to you, but make it happen. Again, it depends on how committed you are to the partnership, to the relationship. And so it's going, making sure that, if you aren't committed, then what happened? And being honest about it. Say, well, actually, I don't think I'm committed to this anymore. And then you start having a different conversation. But you need to have that conversation,
Yeah.
because it's not fair on you or your partner. And so it's addressing, well, what has stopped the commitment? Why are you no longer committed? What's actually happened? So again, it's because otherwise this is where you get resentments and regrets start coming in, because if you haven't dealt with the fact that maybe you're not feeling committed to that relationship anymore, you feel that it's run its course, then you need to deal with it, because otherwise you will become very resentful, and you'll also regret the fact that you could have been doing something else instead of what you were doing. You're not actually growing if you're in that situation. You're actually dying, because you're either dying or you're growing. there's nothing in between. You know, so you're standing still, you're dying. There's a stagnation happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, are you committed to your own growth is what's important, because that's what will have you decide whether you want to commit to this relationship. Because does the relationship help you grow? Does it help you both to grow? That's what needs to be there. So again, this spring cleaning, it goes, you know, again, that's something else to look at. Are you both growing? Do you have goals that you're still setting and achieving together and individually? You know?
Yeah, you're right, Carol Ann. Like when you say you if you're not growing, you're dying. So I think most the problems that we go through in life when it comes to relationship is something within it that stops growing. And then when we look at someone, when we look at the relationship, we blame the relationship, but it's actually us.
Mhm.
So I think it's really, really
Mm.
important to check in with yourself and check in with the other person as well. And I think everything comes down to the beginning of a relationship. You know, when you meet each other, trying
Mhm.
to someone to win someone is a heart. I don't think that character should stop. I think that character
Mm.
of wanting to really working hard, because at the beginning of a relationship, no one is relaxed. Everyone is working hard to make sure they are arranging date night, make sure they are checking in with everybody. I think that should continue, but sometimes a few years later it doesn't. And which people need to look at it inside and why does that have to stop?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Or why has it stopped?
why
Because if
has
it
it
stopped,
stopped?
yeah,
Yeah, and
have you become, because again, you get to a point where perhaps you're just too comfortable, and you can get comfortable in a cluttered house. You know, there's something comfortable about it, but it's not actually comfortable. There's something it's heavy. You live in a cluttered house. You might be comfortable or used to it, but actually it's energy draining.
yeah,
And so again, you need to really look at what is draining your energy. And if your relationship has become just comfortable and you stopped growing, you stopped making an effort, clear out, clear out. You know, start doing some physical clearing of your environment where you are, and then start thinking about, well, how does that relate to my relationship?
yeah,
What's there that needs to be cleared? What clutter is there? And what am I not willing to face? And actually ask for support to be able to face it.
yeah,
And whether it's you put up a prayer, or you reach out to one of us to help support you in actually, you know, we can hold that space to help you to face whatever it is that you've been putting off, so that it can be cleared out. And it's amazing, as you were saying, Nomsa, that heaviness, that drain, once the clutter's gone, there's a lightness, isn't there? There's a song in your heart that can actually be sung,
yeah,
is what's coming to mind. Is that it sings with joy, and your whole physiology is different. The way you move, you're more upright, you're able to move more freely, rather than sort of this hunchedness, which is a very heavy, depressed way of being. You you can actually shift, and you automatically shift. Although you can, if you can become aware of your physiology, and it is like this, actually go, oh, do that. So make that conscious effort, and you'll find that your thinking and your mindset will shift itself. But if it keeps going back to this, then it's like, what's at that deeper level that you haven't resolved? Because it's yes, you can keep shifting, but if there's something that's not resolved, you need to resolve it. And as you said, sometimes, you can't do it on your own.
No.
And you do need help. And whether it's with God or come and, speak to one of us, because your soul is here for a reason. So again, it's getting back in touch with what's the purpose that you're here for? And what part is this relationship playing in your purpose? Because if you can put that spin on a relationship, is it just a relationship for being a relationship's sake? Or is it part of your purpose of being here on this earth? Because there's something that you're meant to do together or learn together and grow together. So again, that's part of the clearing out, the refreshing of everything and just resetting it, getting yourself back on track. As you
Yeah.
said, your soul gets wounded, it gets split asunder and it goes different directions. So come on, let's bring it back together again. Bring it back together again and make it whole.
Make
And
it
this is
whole
what
again.
healing is about. It's making yourself whole. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really important, like what you're saying in the song, that has never
Mm.
been sang, and just sing it when your soul is cleansed. And I've realized with myself as well that people like the me that is wounded, that the me that was wounded before, but this one that is singing has own song, uh,
Mm.
working with God. People don't like that nonsense. They're like, you can see that they feel uncomfortable. But is then it up to me? Not everybody, but then is then it up to me that I need to understand the importance of being me,
Mm.
and the importance of loving people around me and unapologetic, and being um like being brave enough to just to walk that path. And I think that in a relationship is really, really important, like you say, Carol Ann, to show up
Mm.
different with your
Yeah.
spouse.
Yeah.
But everyone tries to follow everybody.
Sorry, everyone.
People try to follow people. You go
Uh,
to family members,
yeah.
and you see them, they're doing things, and you want to do that. They do that, you want to do that, and if you don't do it, and then you're like, oh, this one is not the right person because we're not doing that. Me, I like being me. I used to follow people, but it's depressing.
Yeah.
I don't like following people. I just like to do things with God and just being me.
Mm.
I don't know about you, Carol, and I think it's a gift when you are in a relationship where you can just walk with grace with your spouse,
Mm. Mm.
and check in with your spouse and do what you got to do, and just sing that song
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
marriage, and it works.
And like what you're saying is important there about being yourself.
Yeah.
Because again, it's recognizing, people do become uncomfortable when you change, or actually when you start finding you and you're becoming more yourself. They're not who they know you to be. They can't push those same buttons and get those same reactions.
Yeah.
And that's why they're going, they start having a bit of a wobble because then they haven't got that control that they once had. And so it's recognizing that sometimes if somebody has had that control over you, has been able to push those buttons, they will have a wobble if you start going, uh-uh, and they can't push that button anymore because you've actually dealt with whatever that trigger was, what that button was about. And therefore it's no longer there to be pushed. And they'll be going, ooh, their whole world starts going, oh my goodness, what's happening? What's happening? I don't have that control. But the more you find yourself, the more you can stand in that, this is me and this is what I will or will not put up with. You start setting those boundaries and holding them. That person will either just go or they will change themselves. They will start to feel more comfortable and go, oh, okay, and things will shift and you might find yourself coming back together and getting closer, because then they're actually feeling secure because they know who you are, because there's more truth happening, and truth is solid. It doesn't go anywhere. There's no change to it. Whereas when you're not being true to yourself, there's a discomfort that's there. There's an energy that actually is not coherent because you're not being true to yourself. And that's what can upset people, because they're like, oh, I'm feeling wobbly around this person. And so once the more you become coherent and true to yourself, the more you attract people who are in alignment with that and who are also coherent with themselves and know who they are and are willing to dive even deeper, because there's always something else to uncover. Always. When we're done, that's when our life here on earth is done. So I keep going, bring out more. I want to know more. Bring it on, you know?
Bring it on.
Yeah, there's still more to learn. And
Yes.
I'm, as I said, after I had that process on Thursday, I was amazed. I'm sitting square. My leg feels stronger. It feels more flexible and it's straightening more. And it was about a month back when I had a cranial osteopath session, I felt square after that session. I feel even more sitting square than I was then. It's like, how much more square, how much more and sort of twisting of my body can I do, you know, because we're not aware of it until it shows up, where it's things that we can't do physically. You know, so it's really looking at it and facing it and doing something about it. So certainly know yourself and be comfortable with yourself, who you are. It's
Yeah.
very important. No,
I put a post a few days ago. It says, where there is no vision, the wife or husband becomes the vision.
it becomes what?
The vision.
Divisioned.
The vision. It become your husband becomes your vision.
Ah,
If I didn't have a vision, I
mm,
start annoying my husband
yeah.
because everything I'm focusing on him and stuff.
Yes, yeah. Oh, and that's not being true to yourself.
So it's good to be true to yourself and
Yeah,
keep your authenticity
yeah, yeah.
and be who you are meant to be.
That's right. Yeah.
And if a relationship is right, it will allow you to be that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
decluttering everything, like Carol Ann's topic, and cleansing your soul.
mm, I've got a few quotes here that I love. One is by Socrates. The unexamined life is not worth living. The
That's
unexamined
powerful.
life is not worth living.
That's
So keep
powerful.
examining. Yeah. Yeah. So keep diving deeper, keep going in, examine your life, examine what, what's happening. And if you still find, yes, you come up with, well, we are growing, great, because you've looked at it and you need to look at it and maybe look at different areas of life. There's something called the wheel of life,
Yeah.
which looks at different areas of life. And actually maybe look at that together in your relationships, and for yourself, and see, well, where is one of those that's not quite as good as it could be? And that's not growing. Maybe that's got a bit stagnant. So there's something to look at. So do have a look at the wheel of life together. Even if you feel that everything is is great. Go deeper and keep going. And Mary Hale says, growth is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere you don't belong.
I've been there before. I've been there where I don't belong. My soul has been there.
Exactly, exactly. That is painful. So,
It's painful, it's uncomfortable.
yeah,
But
yeah.
once you are out, you're like, what's the heck was that?
Yeah. And it's recognizing that it is painful, but it's almost become a comfort zone. And recognize the fears that stop you stepping out of it and recognizing, okay, this relationship is over. It's not where I'm meant to be. And being able to be strong and know that actually you have the support of the universe, God, to actually step out because it's not where you're meant to be. It's not in alignment with your purpose. It served a purpose. Get clear on what that purpose was and then go, right, okay, it's fulfilled. And stand in gratitude and then step forward and say, I am worth more than this, and move forward and step on. So the last one I'd like to leave our listeners with is a quote by Sir Edmund Hillary. And he said, it's not the mountains we conquer, but ourselves. So it's not those external challenges that are important. It's actually more, it's about ourselves. So
Yep.
again, diving in, doing the work, doing the work. And that's what I call putting capital letters, capital W, the work.
Work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diving in. So, yeah, look at what you've maybe been neglecting. Is there maybe some quality time with yourself, with your partner, with friends? Have a look at that. Maybe there's something there. Have you
Yeah.
not been in contact with someone for a long time? Why not? Look at it. What's happened? Reach out, reconnect. No.
Yeah. I get
So,
this moment where I'll be chatting to someone and I'll be like, oh, I've not heard from this person. And then I'll be like
mm,
sending a message straight away. You'll be like, hi, how you doing? Are you okay?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's a silence happens, isn't there?
Yeah.
And it's becoming aware of the silence and going, oh, yeah, the silence.
People get
Let's
busy.
get in touch. There, that's right. No, spring clean your soul,
Yeah.
spring clean, refresh your relationships and refresh your personal growth.
Yeah.
Take
That's
that
really
inventory of where
important.
you are and where you'd like to be, and then do something about it.
Yeah. It is the
Mm.
cleansing your soul is the critical component of how you are able to live that
Yeah.
freedom life. We need
Mm-hmm.
freedom.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important. I used to have fear within myself. Like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna do things, I'll fear I could feel the fear in me. And
Yeah.
now that fear is gone. It's gone. It's no longer there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice. How does that feel for you?
It feels good. Because
Yeah.
even when I have to do something,
Mm-hmm.
I just know that I'm not alone. I think it
Mm.
makes a big, big difference. I'm like, okay, God, let's do this.
Yeah.
I don't like to tell God what to do.
Oh, heaven forbid, eh?
Yeah. I was with my friend the other day and she was like, Mom, so why haven't you done this? I was like, I'm waiting for God to actually reveal to me what I'm supposed. You know, when you have a problem
Mm,
and you hand it over to God, you
mm.
can't then turn around and say, God, I need you to do this. That does not make sense. So I was like, I'm waiting. I just want him to give me the directions because on my own, I feel that
Mm.
I will make the wrong directions. So she was like, you've got to do this, you've got to do. I was like, my heart, it tells me that I need to stand still for now. Because when I'm feeling I need to stand still, it means I need to stand still. So I stand. When God wants to lift me, that's when He will say, "It is time now," and He'll do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Right, I think we're
7 minutes past 2. I think we are done for today, guys.
I think so.
You can join the group Nkosi Talk Shows.
Yeah.
We have a group Nkosi Talk Shows. We have Unique Billionaire Mindset. Please join, be part of the group. And the contact Nkosi Talk Shows coaches as well. If you ever have any problems, coaching, go to the website and all the coaches are there. You can communicate with whoever coach you want. The forms are there. You can fill up the forms. Looking for love. The form is there. Fill out the application form. And that's about it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I'll see you
Leave
next week.
God bless.